In the world of hot rodding legends, there are a handful of true innovators.
You know, it's funny because when I went to school, I told the teacher, I said, I just want to be a painter. That's all. Teach me how to paint.
He personifies painting.
Today, we are enjoying such an incredible variety of custom colors, candies, pearls, all thanks to John.
I woke up the big paint companies. I mean, they were looking at profits more than quality. I was looking at more at quality and forget the profit.
There is no one else in the business who did what he did and does what he does.
I'm John Kosmosky with the House of Kolor. I grew up in Bremerton, Washington. I picked up an interest in motorcycles and cars. Basically, I started painting in my mom's basement, doing friends' helmets, and maybe I'd do an occasional gas tank or something like that. I had a regular full-time job. I was an apprentice mechanic. I learned brakes, I learned engine rebuilding, transmission rebuilding, you name it. But I took this night course on auto body and painting, and that was it. I thought, you know, this is what I want to do. I mean, it was fun, you know? I never looked back.
In the world of hot rodding and classic cars, the name John Kosmosky is and should be right up there with the other legends. He personifies painting. There is no one else in the business who did what he did and does what he does.
Automotive painting has been around since before we even had cars, back to the horseless carriage days. But state-of-the-art specialty colors, something that would be used on a custom car or a hot rod, wasn't quite so commonplace until House of Kolor came along in 1956.
Well, I love the story of House of Kolor because it is so organic. It is grassroots. It started out of necessity. He wasn't happy with the product that he was getting from other manufacturers.
Mud, 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 mud. It was all dirty trash. I hated it. I said, this is the future of painting? I gotta find out what makes paint.
So he went to the library and he educated himself on the elements of automotive paint. He learned how to make paint, and that's exactly what he did. He made his own paint.
I started going to the library. I started talking to paint companies to find out if there was a chemist that I could talk to get some information.
Others started to recognize how high quality his paint was.
I started winning Best Paint Awards. When I stopped competing, I had won 70 Best Paint Awards, and other painters were coming to me and saying, can I get some of that color?
And he was just doing it a gallon at a time, and he realized that, hey, more and more people want my paint. Why don't I make this a business?
And I called it House of Kolor. I just thought, I'm mixing colors. I was the first paint company on record to use 100% organic pigment. I mean, I woke up the big paint companies. I mean, they were looking at profits more than quality. I was looking at more at quality and forget the profit. You know, that's kind of where it started.
By the mid-1960s, the company was well established and regarded as the go-to source for specialty auto painting. And I think that everybody would agree that not only the variety of the choices available from House of Kolor, but also the quality of the materials are regarded in the industry as being absolutely top of the line, all thanks to John. So in the hot rod world, generally speaking, pre-war Fords, 1932 to 1940, are kind of regarded as the go-to platforms.
It's the opinion of a lot of people in the custom car culture world that the 34 Ford is kind of the center of the web. It's an iconic vehicle in its raw form. It's ripe for customization.
So John has built 4 1934 Fords into street rods, all different body styles.
I love 34 Fords my whole life. I mean, my heart skips a beat when I see one on the road. And I got to do what I dreamed about doing my whole life, and that's building 34 Fords.
One of the real distinctive body styles in the 1934 Ford was the cabriolet.
The cabriolet was owned by a guy up in northern Minnesota, and he had intentions to build it. And years go by, and it never gets moved. And he came to me and said, would you be interested in this project? I said, are you kidding? Of course. It was a beautiful, clean body and in great shape to restore. It's got a total cost involved frame. It's got a 4-bar, 9-inch Ford rear end with adjustable shocks. It's got an I-beam up front with a monoleaf. all chromed.
Fuel-injected 350 Chevy Ramjet V8 with an automatic transmission, but extreme attention to detail.
Power brakes, of course, all wildwood discs, air conditioning, custom dash and gauges.
And the color combination doesn't get any better. That dark green with that saddle interior is just a showstopper.
And then you really start to take a good look at it and you realize that all of the pinstriping has been hand done.
I wanted a hot pinstripe that would jump off the car, and I pinstriped it in pagan gold candy.
The pinstriping continues on all 5 of the wheels, and that kind of attention to detail is what John in House of Kolor is known for, and this car is a perfect example of his work.
Another really unique body style, a four-door convertible, the Ford Phaeton from 1934.
I've always loved the 34 Ford Phaeton, or the touring car as they called it.
Once again, we've got 350 Chevy power, that Ramjet fuel-injected engine, with a transmission from the modern era.
It's got a B&M 350 automatic. I didn't put the overdrive in that, but one thing I did do, which is a little crazy, was I put cruise control in it. It's got a nice AM/FM radio built in with speakers all around, and a 2-inch chop, which I think is mandatory, because they look ungainly with that extra 2 inches, you know. Original tour pack in the back. That box in the back was all formed in wood and skinned in metal, just like those doors were made. I was lucky enough to find that. So yeah, it's set up for fun. Nothing was too much. Money was no object. Cars were gonna be right. They're gonna be #1 right.
Perhaps the most classic of all of the 1934 Ford builds is John's Tudor sedan.
The Tudor was owned by a school teacher, and she refused to drive it in the winter. She was afraid of winter driving, so she stored it every winter. There wasn't a speck of rust anywhere on that car, inside or out. It was unbelievable.
Super clean. In fact, the grille and its surround has never been restored.
I never chromed the grille on that one because it was so perfect. I thought I'd be able to tell somebody that's the original grille shell. Are you kidding me?
I like the fact that he decided to keep it all in the Ford family and go with the Ford power on this one, no 350 Chevy. High performance, fuel injected, 351 cubic inch Ford Windsor engine.
Air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, wildwood discs, and all real leather. I bought the leather enough to do the whole car.
Really beautiful leather interior. In fact, JK and I sat in the car. We were surprised at how comfortable it is and how much headroom that we have in there.
It's a showstopper. Perhaps the most surprising 1934 Ford in John's collection is his four-door.
I was doing seminars in Auckland, New Zealand, and they had a car show that weekend. And this guy had a four-door 34 for sale. And I said, where did this come from? He said, well, when I got it, I was in Christchurch, and it was a cab. I made up my mind I was going to make a beautiful car out of it.
It was right-hand drive. It was brought to the U.S. and had excellent original sheet metal. And not only did John give this car the full hot rod treatment,
I two-toned it, striped it, and put a small block Chevy in it with a 700 R4, 9-inch Ford rear end.
But he also converted it from right-hand drive to left-hand drive. Another example of showcasing exactly how talented he is as a car builder.
Those are special colors, the two-tone that I did. One is magic blue, which is kind of a purpley blue, and the other one is true blue. The color on the four-door is a one-of-a-kind combination. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Talk about attention to detail. Not just the gorgeous two-tone paint job that's on top, but it was up on a lift and we were able to look underneath the car. Even the leaf springs have been powder coated. There is not a single facet of that car that has not been done over. That's a complete build.
I put love in every one of these babies. I mean, they were going to be mine for life. I never ever saw the day that I would see this happening. So yeah, it's emotional. I built a house with a nice garage on the back, but my wife is not doing real well. I got to start thinking about what future there is for these cars. Where can I keep them? If I leave this house, I got no place. So it would be great if somebody could enjoy the cars. They're built to be driven. I mean, they really are built to be driven. I'd like to see them enjoyed and appreciated and used. I'd like to know they're going to a good place and they're going to be cared for.
I'm going to remember this day right now because we are in House of Kolor shop. This is where the cars were created. It's like being in a museum here.
In the history of Mecum auctions, we've sold a lot of collections and dealt with a lot of A-list personalities. But you know, for the opportunity to actually buy a car that was built by an automotive legend and own a piece of his handiwork and to take that into the future, something we've not seen before.